Hello, BookTube. It's Tuesday, even in small town Vermont. It's still Tuesday, and Tuesday is Tag Tuesday on BookTube. And there is a tag going around, and it is has the makings of a classic, has the makings of a playlist all its own. Jim of Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff is going through the alphabet, letter by letter, doing tags. He did an alphabet tag that grouped a bunch of letters. Now he's doing it one at a time, and I, for myself, could not be happier, because he has a knack for interesting questions. And we are up to C. We are at the C tag. So let's see, no pun intended, what we can find here. Prompt number 1 is C is for countries. Cuba, Colombia, Chile, Congo, Cyprus, Czechia, China, and Canada. Which is the last book you read by an author from Canada or China or a country beginning with C? I had to stretch this a bit. I don't want to go back too far. I had to stretch this a bit, but I don't think there are many people, especially in the United States, who would begrudge me categorizing California as a country. As the 5th largest economy in the world, and tends to go its own way in terms of pretty much everything. I'm going to have to stretch it to include California, otherwise it would be some wretched can-lit person. And if we include California, then I'm again going to stretch things and include Rosecrans Baldwin, who is a really good author. He's written some really good fiction, really good nonfiction, and although he wasn't born there and has bounced all around, he has now fetched up in California. He lives there with his family, so he counts. And the book is Everything Now, which we've seen on this channel. We got an advanced copy and a finished copy of his new nonfiction work on the city of Los Angeles. And I have read it, and it is slam bang fantastic. Just amazing. If you live in Los Angeles or love it, have a kind of love affair with it, got to have this book. Just the same as you have to have Gary Davis's City of Quartz. And Gary Davis blurbs this book. So, you know, he obviously knew which way the wind was blowing. It's a classic work of nonfiction on Los Angeles. So I'm gonna include that. Then C is for Canine and Cat. Show me yours. I don't know that the lighting is going to help me here to show you. There is the bean over on the couch, snoozing. We just had a car ride adventure, and she's been screaming at people. You cannot see in that the cat. There are 2 cats here, and one of the cats is getting a little bit more pushy when it comes to coming out into this room and sort of staring at Frida. I think one of the cats might like a rumble. I don't obviously want that to happen. They've already come to blows once. But that cat has vanished for now. And the other cat, the 2 cats here, one of them, I'm no expert here, a lot of you love cats. One of the cats strikes me as being markedly more beautiful than the other. And the beautiful cat has been totally absent this whole trip. It just has not shown up at all. But I think Frida would probably not be so relaxed if the other cat were anywhere about. So I can't show you that. But a dog is going to have to do if the camera adjusted for the light. Then the next prompt is C is for classic. What is the last classic book that you read? And for me, it was Sir Gawain and the Green Poet. Or the Green Poet. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I forget the publisher, but somebody is coming out in July with a new trade paperback of Tolkien's translations of Orfeo and the Pearl and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And I got a copy of that and read just that. I didn't read anything else in that volume, but I read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight again because Tolkien's versifying is just wonderful. And I'm gonna assume that if The Lord of the Rings doesn't count, certainly Sir Gawain and the Green Knight counts as a classic. Hard to tell anymore in the 21st century, but I'm going to include that. And when that volume comes out, I'll probably get a finished copy on my channel, but if I don't, I will still, come July, recommend it for you. Then C is for children's book. What is the last children's book that you read for your own enjoyment? Here I'm going to stretch this just a little again and include YA. Which, you know, is right next to children's in every bookstore in the world, and I often have considered it that. And that would be a new book that I think isn't out yet. I think it comes out in a couple of months or a month. It's called The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. And I love the cover art. The cover art's immediately appealing. And it's the story of a high school boy who can see dead people. In fact, he doesn't just see dead people. He sees dead people in an infinite loop of their last moments, which is very similar to a mystery novel series that I really, really love about a police detective in mid-century Italy who can do the same thing. Jake Livingston can see these people, these dead people, And he has to deal with that, the complications of it all, and what their last utterances mean, and all that. And that part of the novel worked really well. And there's also a love story. A new student transfers to his school, and they hit it off. And that is very sweetly done. But there's another element in the novel that Jake Livingston is also dealing with racism at his prep school. And it's not, let's just say it's not believably done. It's not believably done. Socially crusading authors, whether they're young adult or anybody else, if they want to put a racist in the story, they tend to put a racist in the story from 1921 Alabama. And those kinds of racists, and especially in the setting of this novel, would be told, you're not welcome here, your kid's not welcome here, this is freakish, no one does this anymore. And the people who want to get this element into their books just don't believe that. They don't want to add any nuance to the story, so they just put in an unsheeted Klan member, and that was not convincing. But all the rest of the book was really good. So The Taking of Jake Livingston, again, if we get a finished copy, I'll show it to you. Then C is for coloring book. Adult coloring books are a thing. Have you tried one? What are your thoughts on this? I have not tried one. No. I have joined my fellow critics for the last 6 years in bemoaning the fact that these things are, quote unquote, a thing. Imagine a fully grown adult with 1 million books to read, 1 million things to write. Keep in mind, I want you all to write. Imagine a fully grown adult taking hours out of their day to color like a child in a book. Inside the lines, in colors that are provided for you. You're not making anything. You're just filling in blank spaces with crayons in an exercise that exists in grade school to teach children manual coordination. Just, you don't want me to make an hour-long video on adult coloring books. Let's just say I don't approve of them. I think they're a complete waste of time. And we'll move straight on. C is for comedy. What is the funniest book you have ever read? I'm never able to answer this question. Never able to narrow it down to just one book. Lots of funny books are funny in their own way. Even some really serious books have bits that are hilarious in their own way. The two that came to mind are very similar to each other. They are American travel logs, where the writer just gets to riff on the dumbest parts of America. One is friendly and one is unfriendly. The friendly one is Bill Bryson, Lost Continent, where he talks about small town America, and the bits in that book on small town Iowa are not only very funny, but embarrassingly accurate. But the other book I thought of is much older. It's The Moronic Inferno by Martin Amis, whose nonfiction I like almost always better than his fiction, and who in The Moronic Inferno, that is a much more acid-dripped book, all about the stupidities and excesses of American society from the America that he's looking at would have been, I think, the early 80s. Brings out the best in him. I don't know if The Moronic Inferno is still in print. Bill Bryson, of course, will be in print until all our grandchildren are old and gray. But Moronic Inferno, I'm not so sure. But one way or another, worth a find if you can find it. Then the next, what is the next C on our list? Oh, yes. C is for comic books. And here, Jim doesn't have a prompt. He just says, can you explain to me the attraction of these? And that's going to be tough. I'm assuming from the question that Jim never read comics when he was a kid. That is usually the way in. You get used to the sequential storytelling. You become invested in some of the long-term characters. Even the collecting, which never really bit me. All of those things will strike you in childhood if you are introduced to these things in childhood. Although I firmly believe, from my recent read-along with Matthew at Mayberry Book Club, I firmly believe that if you were an adult who's never read comics at all, I firmly believe I could find a comic or two that you would like. It would just take a lot of preliminary groundwork questions, but I think you could do it. But the appeal, of course, is that these are superhero comics anyway. I'm not one to speak about manga or any of the, plaid-wearing Chechnyan chemo patient graphic novels, stuff like that I don't really understand. But superhero comics, for a long time, they were where you went to get the kind of special effects that we now take for granted in movies. For a long time, that was the only place you could go, where you could see something instead of just imagining it, And that was a big appeal for me. I don't know if that's going to help, though. If you don't have a history with them, that's probably not going to help. And then the next one is, the second to last prompt is C is for cookbook. Do you have a favorite? And I don't cook at all. I have a couple of dishes that I can maybe sort of do, but doing anything elaborate, knowing how to watch an oven or a timer or ingredients or anything like that, I can't do anything like that. I know of people who can. Nevertheless, I do have a favorite cookbook. I have read it from front to back, but it's my favorite mainly for personal reasons. This is The Way to Cook by Julia Child. And I couldn't cook a single thing, not even the simplest thing in that book. The only reason it's my favorite is because at the end of her life, I knew the author. We snail mail corresponded, and she was a delight to know. Met her a couple of times in snail mail, exchanged letters a whole bunch of times. And that has a sentimental value. If I, for instance, at a used bookstore, if I came across a copy of The Way to Cook, I'd probably buy it, even though I've never used it in the kitchen. And then the last thing, Jim doesn't want it to be a prompt. He is raising it to dismiss it in his cranky, curmudgeon way. And it is C is for cancel culture. Both sides of the debate annoy me, so there is no prompt for this one. Which I can't help but think is Jim's kind of passive-aggressive way of trying to wind me up on the subject. But it's not going to work. I'm having too much fun here. It's too much of a beautiful, peaceful day here. I will confine my comments only to saying that the people who say, it's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture, deserve to be boiled in acid. There, that's simple, nice and peaceful. That's all I'll say on cancel culture. And this as to tagging people, this tag is making the rounds. People are doing it. They're loving these alphabet tags. I would say I would add my tag to the tags that I've heard from a bunch of people that I've seen do this tag, which is that if you want to do this, please do. Let's make the alphabet tags go all around the block because they're lots of fun. And also, I admit, because I want to see pictures of your pets. If you can manage it. A lot of you could put pictures into the video. I can't do that. But one way or another, tons of fun. Can't wait for the D tag. D is for dog. D is for Donoghue. Mm-hmm. I don't think you want to hear the suggestion that came from the kitchen hand. For his D suggestion, you probably don't want to hear that. But anyway, here's hoping the D tag shows up next week. In the meantime, I will wrap this up, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.